Joining us now on the show, actress and playwright Halley Feiffer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy you pronounced my name correctly.
I Google searched it. I'm not gonna
You really
lie.
did?
I really did, yeah.
But how did you find a website that said how to pronounce it?
I just typed in Halley Feiffer interview, found a YouTube video where someone said your name, and I'm like, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it.
Oh, duh. Oh, that's so smart. I should do that for myself.
We try not to hack up our guest names too much.
Yeah, good. That's so good. I feel like I have done interviews where they do screw it up, and I just go with it because I don't want to cause trouble.
Well, on the outro, I'll call you Halley Feiffer to make you feel
great.
better.
That's how I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable when people are subtly insulting me. Thank you.
Our topic for today is Gentlemen Broncos, and to say that Gentlemen Broncos is a quirky film is kind of an understatement. It's kind of unfortunate that the quirkiness turned some people off from watching it at first, because I find it to be a very funny and touching story. Now, being a writer and a playwright yourself, did when you read the script, did you have a personal connection with this script?
That's a great question. I responded very strongly to it when I first read it. I think I only read the sides, that they send you for an audition before I read the whole script. I think they didn't even send me the whole script until until I was getting called back or until I got the job or something crazy like that. But I remember when I read the sides for the audition, I was like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever read. Like, not only like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever gotten to read for an audition, but like one of the funniest things I've ever read. There's that scene where my character, Tabitha Jenkins, asks Michael Angarano's character, Benjamin, if she can borrow some money to buy some tampons. And just the fact that a young woman would ask a young man if she can borrow money to buy tampons, like 2 seconds after meeting him, I was like, that's brilliant. And then, of course, she's lying, and she just uses the money to buy, like, disgusting, like, Doritos and stuff, and that made me fall in love with the character and with the voice, of the writers. Like, I think that's what's so incredible about Jared and Jerusha Hess, the two writers, is that they have such a singular voice that's completely inimitable and their own, and I think some people, it's not their cup of tea, perhaps, or at least this movie wasn't, but it was completely mine, and I thought it was at once very funny and quite brave, how singular the voice was.
There were reports initially that Fox Searchlight was going to cancel Gentlemen Broncos' release, and then they decided later just to scale back the release.
They were going to cancel the release?
I went back and there was a statement issued that they were going to cancel the release.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that. I guess no one told me. Ha ha ha. That's so funny.
So you weren't aware?
I had heard something like that. Oh wait, sorry, what did you say?
Oh, so you weren't aware of what was going on?
I wasn't. No, I was not aware. But I guess that's why you have like agents and managers and lawyers and stuff, because they are like, everything's going great, and then they get off the phone and they're like, we're on a sinking ship. I guess. No, I think I had really great representatives at that time who were like, you're going to be a star, and didn't tell me the bad news. But I knew there was some drama around controversy, I think. I don't really know much about this, because when you're an actor, and it's a difference between being an actor and a writer on a project, is like you are really kept in the dark, which is probably good so that you can show up and do your job. But no, I didn't really know much of those details, but I do know that it got a very limited release, like e.g. it was in like one theater in New York for 8 hours or something, which was a bummer because we were all very proud of the work that we did on it, and I really love the film, and I think it's kind of brilliant. So yeah, I don't know. I really think it was like ahead of its time, at the risk of sounding pretentious. But that's just my theory.
No, it's got some just fantastic characters, and your character, Tabitha, is just so awesome. And when the audience first kind of meets her, you're not sure if you like her or not, and as the film goes on, you kind of straddle that line of, wow, this person is kind of terrible, but she's got a good heart, you know? So what it is about Tabitha that you think makes the audience feel that way about her?
That's a great question, too. I mean, I love playing characters who are kind of dislikable. I find it really fun, and that's what I loved about her. And I think she's a great character in that way, in that she's very flawed, she's very manipulative, she's very selfish, she's probably a narcissist. But, you know, like all narcissists, like, you know, her narcissism springs from insecurity, and so that's what makes her sort of, I think in some ways relatable and someone who you actually come to sort of care for and perhaps pity a little. Like, she's really manipulative with Benjamin, but then she confesses that she just is kind of in love with him, and that's what's made her, you know, like jump through all these hoops and like screw up all this stuff and lie and manipulate and cheat and steal and beg in order to like get their dumb movies made. Because she probably just wants like a human connection, which I think is something that all of us can identify with in one way or another.
You know, I like looking what people argue about online to see what the sides of the movies are. And there's a debate all the time going on about the Hesses. And the question is, do they like their characters? Some people say yes, some people say no.
It's so interesting.
So what do you think? Do the Hesses like their characters?
I think absolutely. I mean, getting to work with them, and we shot it a long time ago, so I'm surprised that I can remember anything. But yeah, it's so very clear working with them, especially Jared, because he also directed the film and has directed a couple of the movies that they've co-written. Yeah, it's so clear how passionate they are about these characters and about these stories and how much they love them, to the point that, like, Jared, you know, one way that he directs is he'll act out, I remember, like, many lines, which is sort of like, at first I was surprised because, like, in theater, I come from a theater background, and you'll never really see a theater director giving you, like, a quote-unquote line reading, because, like, someone decided, you know, I don't know, like, decades ago, like, that, you know, actors need to come to it organically or whatever, but it was so useful for Jared to do that for me, and I think the other actors found it really useful, too, because he has such a specific vision in his head for how these characters behave. Like Lonnie, for instance, played by Hector Jimenez, Jared was like, I want your mouth to look like this when you're talking. Like, I want it to look like, and like a frowny face, or like an upside down U. Like that's, he just wanted his mouth to look like that, and that's what his mouth looks like in the movie. And you can't really communicate that other than just sort of doing an imitation of what you want. And anyway, that's all a long-winded way of saying, like, I think he absolutely loves them. I think all the characters are, for both Jared and Jerusha, like some part of each of them. Maybe the less savory parts, but I think they absolutely love all the characters very dearly, and have real compassion for them. And I think many of the characters are, if not parts of them, then some combinations of people they know. I mean, the two of them have a very specific and unusual upbringing for two people who are so successful in Hollywood, in that they are devout Mormons. They live in Salt Lake City, or at least I haven't spoken to them in a number of years, but I believe they still do. And they, all their closest friends and family are devout Mormons, and they, that in and of itself is a very unusual point of view, and I think they really bring that very special, unusual point of view to their work.
Absolutely, and you know, you brought up Lonnie, and this is a question that, what exactly is the relationship with Tabitha and Lonnie? Can you explain this?
Such a good question. I mean, she says that he's her boyfriend, so I guess he's her boyfriend, but I feel like she probably just uses him, like, for his filmmaking expertise, because she wants to get ahead as a filmmaker herself, and then launch this production company with him. And but Willie is probably not sexually attracted to him. I think it's really just sexually attracted to Benjamin, as we learn. I think she's probably just using him, yeah. But I would probably admire his vision and his voice, but I think probably doesn't want to make out with him, which is hence the infamous hand. I mean, I just said hand job, but I meant to say hand massage, but that was a telling Freudian slip. That hand massage is the Mormon hand job, just letting you all know.
We do now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Being artistic is something your parents knew about. How did they encourage your artistic development? Did they ship you off to any writing workshops as a kid?
Oh, that's interesting. Sort of. Not writing workshops. Weirdly, like the first thing they quote unquote shipped me off to, I was just talking to someone about this, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" My dad made me sign up for classes at the Art Students League in New York City on 57th Street, where I would say the median age of the student population is 87, and I was 11, and so I was the youngest person by 6 decades in my Saturday morning class, and I would go there and draw nude models for 3 hours every Saturday. That was something that was it was sort of I was made to do it. I kind of loved it, but that was the first naked person I saw was a nude model. I think it was a male model actually in an art class when I was 11. So that was really encouraged. And then I think it was discovered quickly that I didn't have a lot of proficiency as a visual artist, but I had interest in acting. So I went to acting camps. They were very supportive of that, and then I decided I really wanted to be a professional actor, and they were not terribly supportive of that because they didn't want me to become a heroin addict at age 12 or whatever. But I think it was quite persistent, and so they eventually sort of ceded to my whims, and my dad sort of helped me sort of trot myself around town auditioning for agents. Everyone passed on me, and then one woman said, "Oh, okay, fine," and then the rest is history. So anyway, yeah, they were pretty supportive. They were very supportive, which I'm very grateful for.
That's really awesome. And now, so when you finally saw the finished product, the final film, the first reaction, what did you think?
Oh, gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think the first time I saw it was actually at the premiere in New York. I think I was kind of blown away because, the film basically takes place in two different worlds. There's the world of, Utah, with Benjamin and, the real world. And then there's a fictional science fiction world, which is also split up into two worlds, It's complex. So I had never seen the way that it was shot was that we were in Salt Lake City shooting the real world stuff for 2 months, and then we left, and then they spent a month shooting with Sam Rockwell all the science fiction world stuff with him as both, two versions of the same science fiction character. And so I hadn't seen any of that stuff. I'd seen Sam for a minute in his costume when he was doing a screen test, see or how the makeup would look or whatever, but I hadn't seen any of that, so that was very exciting and amazing to get to see that and to get to see how those two worlds came together. I think I kind of loved it, and it's completely up my alley because it's completely absurd and upsetting and funny and dark and light and weird and insane in a way that my brain kind of works, so I think I really loved it.
I want to tap into how your brain works too. It seems like we're in a weird place right now in the world. Female characters are instantly political.
Mm-hmm.
Does that impact your creativity at all? Does that put a burden on you to think about the repercussions?
That's an interesting question. I want to just make sure I understand the question. You mean there was this article, was there a New York Times article or was it somewhere else that I heard that yeah, this summer there were 2 high-grossing films that starred female characters, but the fact that that in and of itself is remarkable is depressing.
Yeah, there's that. There was the reaction to Joss Whedon on Twitter when they didn't, when the people didn't appreciate how he wrote one of the characters in the Avengers. And there's all
Right.
instantly political.
Yeah, it's interesting because, coming from the background of writing and acting, it's something that I think about in different ways. So, like, as an actor, for instance, I've gotten sent out in auditions or even played parts that I find kind of demeaning to women. But it's like a choice of, like, well, I also have to, like, eat food and live under a roof, so should I just, like, go do this and just know that that's not, it maybe this, like, isn't what I believe, but that's okay? Like, that's a question I come up against sometimes. The more and more I make my living as a writer, which I do more and more now, whereas I used to make it primarily as an actor, the less that's a problem because I have a little bit or a lot more control. And I actually write right now for a TV show that the 2 co-creators hired 3 female playwrights to write on the TV show, to be the entire writing staff, because the star of the show is there's 2 stars, Ed Helms and Hilary Swank, and they're like, we want to make sure Hilary Swank's character is a real woman and not what we think a woman is, because we're men and we don't know. And I think that's really cool. So, I guess it does, I don't know. I guess when I'm writing, I don't tend to think of, like, what am I saying by having this woman do this? Because I just try to write truthfully from my experience of being a woman and a person. But I do think it can impact, it's tricky when you're acting in something and you didn't write it and you have to say the lines and you feel like it's perhaps not true to your experience of being a woman, and it's, you have to wrestle with, like, what's your job and what isn't. Is it my job to rewrite this? No. Is it my job to ask questions? Yes. When do I let it go? And all that stuff that, like, can be really tricky line to toe, I think.
Right. Now, talking about something that you have created, you did your own web series called What's Your Emergencies? Where did that idea come from? And are you planning on doing another season of it?
Oh, that idea came from something that my writing partner, Ryan Spawn, we also wrote a film called He's Way More Famous Than You, and he and I had really enjoyed writing the film, and we wanted to work on something else together, but we're having a tricky time, like, figuring out what our next project was, because the film was very much born out of real life, even though it's not autobiographical. Like, I play a character named Halley, he plays a character named Ryan, his partner Michael Yuri, who also directed it, plays a character named Michael. So it was hard for us to think of another, I don't know, it was hard for us to find our follow-up project, and that film and the web series, kind of similar to Gentlemen Broncos, although quite different, but the tone is quite heightened and quite absurd. And so we have a very specific tone that we enjoy writing. That's quite different from my tone that I write it on my own, which is why I like writing with him. And so he had created a character named Tom, and he made a short film, I think, called Tom, and it was about a really, really, really tragically self-involved 911 call center operator, where, like, every call that he answers, he makes about him, and so people just keep dying because he can't stop talking about himself. And I thought that was so funny, and sadly I identified with it because I've struggled with self-involvement myself, and so it was his and Michael's idea to expand it into a series about, like, a whole office full of, like, horribly inept 911 call center operators. And Ryan is from Michigan, and he said there's a town in Michigan called Hell, Michigan, which is a real place. And Nick Lucas said it's there, and it's just this hellacious, literally 911 call center filled with the most horribly inept employees. And so that's where the idea was born, and I don't know if we're going to do another season. I think we'd all like to, but we're all just, like, so busy and successful that it's hard to find the time, But I think it's something we'd all really like to do. We had a really fun time doing it.
Speaking of being big and I can't talk, successful. You mentioned in an interview a while back, you get more famous with more Twitter followers you have. Have you had any luck getting any more Twitter followers?
Not nearly enough as my ego would like. No, but I'm trying to make having fewer Twitter followers cool, because it's like, whatever, I don't even care. I don't have time to tweet. I'm too busy being busy and successful. Does that sound convincing to you?
It totally does. That's like
good.
the hipster version of Twitter, right? You've just invented Twitter for hipsters. There you go.
Oh my God, it's like so fun inventing things without even meaning to. I'm so excited. Wow, I just made $1 million. I didn't even mean to. Anything.
It's okay. You just do that in your sleep anyway. Oh, there's another million. There's another million. It's cool. Yeah.
I know. It's actually so boring now, making millions of dollars. I'm gonna start hemorrhaging millions of dollars to be the anti-millionaire in the same way that I'm the anti-Twitter user.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I love it.
I'm good.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. This was a real pleasure.
And all of our listeners can check out What's Your Emergency on stage17.tv. But if you have a real emergency, do not call 911 in hell.
Yeah, don't.
Thanks so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you. Really nice talking to you guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That is one charming and fun woman right there. I had a very good time. I had such a blast chatting with her. She just seems like she loved making that movie.
It sure does. And she says the Hesses love their characters.
There you go.
So
love the characters.
She knows better than I do. Yeah.
And she had that awesome little Freudian slip where she was talking about the hand massage scene. Yeah, she's just an amazing person. You know, she's a playwright. She's been, writing plays for many, many years. Her dad is a cartoonist and a satirist. I found that astonishing.
Right.
And, she's probably, I guess, most known for her breakout role in The Squid and the Whale. Did you see that?
I have not seen it.
Yeah. I think that's the movie that she probably gets the most, remembrance for. But I think she's a funny actress. I would like to see her in more stuff.
Yeah, I think she has range. I mean, like I said, her character in The Gentleman Broncos was the most complex one, and she pulled it off. So it'd be interesting to see her do more things.
Yeah. So, any other takeaways from the interview that you got? Final thoughts on Gentleman Broncos?
Final thoughts on Gentleman Broncos.
Have you said it all?
I think I have said it all. Like, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's making fun of the old pulp sci-fi magazines that I never read. I'm curious to see what you guys, who know a hell of a lot more than I do, think.
See, I don't read a lot of science fiction other than Vonnegut and Philip K. Dick, and I'm not heavily into science fiction. That said, I do think that there probably is a subsection of science fiction books out there that is what the inspiration of it was for. That is my guess. My guess is that there's a writer or a specific genre that they were tapping into. So
there's some John Carter knockoff out there that's what this is building off of.
Oh, it took my nads. Took my gonads. That closes out another episode of the Movies and Stuff podcast. We'll be back with a brand new episode in 2. That is Dose Weeks. All that nonsense out of the way. Final words.
I had no idea snakes took a shit like that.
I need money to go buy tampons.
God.